Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us for another edition of DAX Machina. Apologize for starting a couple minutes late. We had a little bit of a technical glitch. Hopefully it's worked out now. Everything seems to be working fine. I apologize for that, folks. That was something that happened on my end on my computer. Joining me tonight is my partner, Anthony, and we've got some awesome folks coming to us from the Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group. We got Marie, Mike, and Tim, and I want to let them introduce themselves, and I hope you guys give them a warm welcome. And I think you guys are going to be really excited tonight for some of the stuff they're going to be bringing to the table. Marie, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, so my name is Marie Dumont, and I'm the founder of the Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group on Facebook and YouTube. And so I am a Florida native, and I've been seriously researching the subject of Bigfoots and skunk apes in Florida now for over 3 years. And I think most of us on the team, Tim and Mike, I think they've all been doing about the same, even though they have a lifetime of experience out there. So basically, a few years ago, I went on a tour in Ocala National Forest, and I saw some really strange, large structures and things. And it was at that point that I got hooked. Doggone it, I want to be the one to find Bigfoot, to prove they exist, in Florida, blah, blah, blah. So I started going out on my own or occasionally with some friends, and I would take pictures, and I wanted to share them with people on Facebook. And I looked around on Facebook trying to find a research group that I liked, and I couldn't find anything specific to Florida research. So it was then that I started the group, and I've had it now for a little over a year. And I have over 1,400 members, which is great. And most of those people live in Florida. At least 90% of those 1,400 people live in Florida. They are researchers. They are interested in learning more about Bigfoots and skunk apes. They've had their own experiences. They're doing the kind of stuff that we are. So I wanted a place where everybody can safely, post the things they're finding, share the things they're seeing or hearing out there with other researchers and not be ridiculed over it. I'm very strict with the group. I make sure that everybody's getting along, that, no one's getting, out of hand, etc. So That's how we started. And it was because of the group that I eventually met all of the team members. We have 17 members on the research team. And so we got Mike and Tim, but we also have Waynette Turner, Desi Herter, Troy Palmer, and Ruby Brew. So that's our team. We are out there every single weekend, sometimes more than once a weekend. There was one weekend where I was out on 4 different investigations. So we're very serious. We're very dedicated, so.
Well, I think you guys are doing great work. I mean, some of the stuff you guys are posting, like some of the pictures you posted that you took, I believe it was in Ocala, the prints you guys found, that was those are really good prints, taking very high resolution images, which is awesome. I think you guys are really, really bringing a good focus to the area where you guys do your research. Tim, what got you into the research?
Yeah, with me, I've been hunting all my life, and I was wanting to know if these were real or not, because I've always been interested in Bigfoot. I thought they were real because you hear them in all the Indians' histories and stuff, and all the different sightings that people have. So I started learning actually what to look for and where to look, and started using my hunting skills because I just wanted to know the truth if they were real. And about my 3rd time out, I started finding footprints, some pretty good footprints out there. And then a few more times I started finding hairs that I couldn't identify because I know all the animals' hairs from hunting. I know the bears, the deer, the wild hogs. So I started finding hairs on barbed wire fences that I couldn't recognize, and they were on every strand of wire. Like how the hogs would go underneath the bottom wire, deer will either jump over or go through the middle wires. These were on all the wires where they had been stepping over, or like we do, like pushing one wire down and going through the middle. But yeah, so that's with me. I've been doing it almost 3 years now myself too. Yeah, and it don't take long to start finding evidence.
No. I mean, have you seen anything when you were out there when you were hunting, or no?
Well, I didn't know back then that I had encounters, but now I do.
Right.
Now that I've learned a lot more. Yeah, like I had one growl. I had one growl one time when we were hog hunting, and I realized that we messed up its hunt because my dog went up into some really thick stuff. That thing growled so loud, it was louder than a tiger, and everything went dead quiet for several minutes.
Yeah, that's how I seen I was hog hunting also. That's how I ran. I ran it. Well, actually, I seen one when we were hog hunting. So that's how I went down the rabbit hole. What you got, like the same thing what you guys are doing. So,
Mike, what got you into the field?
Well, I was actually with me and my best friend were going fishing in Homosassa, and we didn't get down there first thing in the morning. And that time of year, it was about 6:30 in the morning was when the sun was just starting to peek out good. And there's a little side road I take that takes you to a back boat ramp, and it goes right through the middle of like a little foresty area. And I was not a Bigfoot believer. I didn't believe. I just didn't. I mean, I say possibly, but wasn't a believer. That day changed everything. I came around the corner, and it was about 75 yards up from me. There's two curves that you got to take, with one right behind each other. And this thing was every bit of 7 foot tall, walking across the street. And he walked into the light that was shining like at an angle down to the road. And when he hit that light, I saw the dark reddish brown coat that he had, and his arms were down past his leg. He just looked at us and walked off the road and kept going. My friend was sitting right there looking out the window, never saw nothing.
Wow.
He thought I lost my mind. So I stopped the car and tried to figure it out. And then about 3 years later, I couldn't take it. I was like, I started looking at documentaries, getting into it more. And then I started going out and doing my own stuff in areas I grew up in, and started finding pretty cool things. And first I met Tim, and then I met Marie. And that's what got me going.
Well, it sounds like having a first-hand encounter. That's the kind of thing that I've talked to deer hunters and things like that, but I think people that have spent a lot of time in the woods that were absolutely non-believers until they had that sighting. But those are always paradigm-shifting moments for people. And even the same thing happened with Anthony. I mean, when he was a confirmed non-believer until he had his sighting, and I think that's really what brought a lot of us into this field. Marie, I had a question for you. You mentioned earlier that you had been a paranormal investigator and a UFO investigator. Do you think that gives you a unique perspective on the Bigfoot, or gives you a better solid background in investigation?
Yeah, I think so. Because with ghost hunting, even when you're hunting, looking for aliens and UFOs, you have to be very, it's very minute, the things that are going to happen out there when you experience ghosts. Typically, you really have to pay attention. You may just hear a little whisper, or you may see something out of the corner of your eye. So you have to be very aware of your surroundings, whether it's ghosts, aliens, UFOs, or even Bigfoot. Same thing. You got to be aware of what's around you and notice the little tiny details, because those are the experiences. People are like, oh, I don't see ghosts. How is it that you see them? I don't. Well, you got to pay attention. And probably the things that you are discounting, like, oh, that was just a spider web, or that was just a bug, or something like that. Most likely it's not. Most likely it's the true experience. Now, we are not woo investigators, researchers. We are serious Bigfoot researchers, but we've had paranormal encounters out there. And I don't know how many people have ever said that before. So I'm sure there's some researchers. A lot of researchers don't want to admit that kind of thing. You know,
Exactly.
we pick up whispers even on our recorders, voices, EVPs.
Yeah,
You
quite a
know,
few.
you may be seeing orbs.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's just stuff that we did not expect to experience out there, but we are experiencing it, and
Yeah.
we don't know
Right.
why.
Right.
Well, I've heard of some overlap from both paranormal and Bigfoot investigators, especially when they start talking about incidents. And I know this has happened to me a couple of times where fully charged equipment's just suddenly dead.
Absolutely.
I've had that happen to me actually a couple of different times in different places.
Absolutely. So a really interesting thing, DA. I know Mike and Tim know this story, but twice I've been out, like in the green swamp or wherever, and I will find an X structure, and I would walk up to the X structure, and twice my phone has gone off by itself. It's called two ex-boyfriends.
Wow.
Yeah, I've caught it on video.
Structure
Okay.
and
No, caught
two
on video.
ex-boyfriends. It's happened twice, and Tim actually has it on film.
Yeah.
If
That's
it
really
happened.
bizarre.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
That's messed
That
up.
is really messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Especially if you're dating someone that's with you and it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You know, I've even gone up to structures before. My phone is locked and password protected. Okay, so you have to go through that whole ordeal. Well, I've had even like my phone play weather.com videos. I don't get on weather.com. I don't watch weather videos. So something unlocked my phone, put in my password, went to the internet, searched for weather.com in order to play videos.
That's messed up. That's crazy.
That?
It is, yeah.
And it's always when we have found something.
Yeah.
We have found a structure that we're investigating, and that's when it happens. Very strange. I don't know.
That is nuts. That is weird. Very weird.
Just like how the meter goes off more when you're talking or you see and looking at footprints or something.
Right.
And the meter will
Right.
Yeah, the tri-field meter that we use, to collect it detects the radio frequency, like a microwave current.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes we get hit really high with that out in the middle of the woods where there shouldn't be nothing.
Exactly. That's those are the weird, like, unexplainable things that happen. I mean, sometimes you get stuff like that. Like I've taken my cell phone off the charger in the car and been at 100% and got 100 yards from the car, and I look down and it's at 12%. I'm like,
wow,
the hell just happened to my phone?
Right. Yeah.
You need a new phone, DA.
No, it was a brand new phone with new battery, and it hasn't done it since.
Wow.
And I noticed it, Marie, out in by the bombing range area.
Right.
And I know it's a military installation out there, but a lot of weird things are going on besides sightings of Bigfoot out there.
Like what?
I mean, like they said, they see, orbs and stuff like that out there.
Okay.
As well as I do. I mean, even the military installations, around them, you're going to get interference with your electronics, no matter where you are. And I believe that has, what's going on out there. I mean, it's a bombing range in Ocala, which about, everybody knows about living in Florida.
Right.
And it's pretty much, guarded by, there's a couple Marines out there and they have sensors. I don't know if you guys seen the sensors, but there's sensors. Yeah, there's sensors by a couple of yards by the fence.
Huh.
And they look like boxes. And I think they're ground detected sensors because they don't want anybody going into the range area when they're bombing or accidentally going. Because out here in the forest, we have a lot of, how can I put it nicely?
Special people.
We got a bunch. Yeah, we got a bunch of meth heads. Let's put it like that. And they're gonna wander in. They're gonna wander into there, and you got A-10s flying over, and they're gonna be dropping bombs or doing gun runs.
Mm-hmm.
That'll make the eyewitness news. Oh, by the way, 6 bodies found, and so yeah, it's pretty well guarded out there, but they don't mess with you if you drive by. Like we were talking off the air before the show, if you drive by, they don't even mess with you. And that's where that hot spot is. I mean, there's a lot of activity out in that area for some reason. Why it wanted to stay there, I have no idea.
Exactly.
But it is. That's where it is. And that's where, what's his name, picked up that 3-toe print. Jimmy picked up a 3-toe print.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's the area that he got it in.
Wow.
And, that's not the only 3-toe print that's been documented in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And it was miles and miles away from Ocala. There was another one in Pensacola, and I think another one in Tallahassee, and so what's going on out there, I have no idea. Like I said to you, I'm going to be going out a lot more now. Good. And filming a lot more, and try to get a documentary together with DA. And if you guys come out, like I said, we'll get together and everybody do it together if we have to.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
The last time I was over by the bombing range, I know I was like peeking through the fence. I'm looking through, trying to figure out what's in there, and there was dirt mounds and stuff, and I was like, oh god, I just want to go in there so badly and look for footprints.
Yeah, there's vehicles in there. There's vehicles. There's tanks in there. There's everything that have been bombed. They're shelled. Wow. If you go on Google Maps and you pull up an aerial of it, you zoom in, you could see the craters that these ordnance are leaving.
Wow.
And like I said to you off the, before we were live, my house where I am, it shakes when they do heavy runs. Mm-hmm. When the Navy comes in and does heavy runs, it'll actually shake my house. You could feel like somebody setting dynamite off.
Wow.
So imagine everybody that lives out in that area closer to the range, what they go through.
Correct.
And the wildlife running around crazy out there. Mm-hmm. It must be nuts. It must be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure they've caught some stuff on camera out there that they never let anybody see.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh sure, Mike. I mean, come on, man. Yeah, of course. You know that as well as I do. They're not going to disclose that to the public. There's no way.
I'm convinced the government's been aware of them for a very long time.
Yes. Yes.
And I was just telling DA before, my cousin is a deputy sheriff out in that area. Well, used to patrol that area, and he used to go on calls out there for bear calls. And he's been on a couple of calls with, he couldn't explain, or the people couldn't explain what it was. And it's right in that area where the range is, the bombing range. Like I said, there is a lot of activity out there. I mean, this one lady reported that she said a bear was peeking. It stood up on all 2 legs and then went back down on 4, went behind her shed and was peeking around the shed at her. Well, bears don't do that.
No, they don't.
And then another guy had 250 pounds of deer feed taken out of his pole barn. Hey, bye, honey.
You're supposed to be in bed.
Yeah, but he had the feed. The feed came out, and there was no claw marks, no nothing. Picked up, 2 50-pound bags of deer feed, and it disappeared. Walked off.
Wow.
So, there's a lot of weird stuff going on out there.
I heard Eustis kind of a hot spot too. I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah. I haven't been out there. I've heard the same thing because I'm in that general area. Mm-hmm. I'm closer to it than you are. So, hey, man, they don't have to apologize for that. Don't even. That's
my cutie.
That's your daughter.
Yeah, my son's
family's family. Family's family. Everybody's family here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it doesn't matter, man. Really.
Yeah, my son's actually part of the group. He goes out with us.
Yeah,
Yes.
he goes out.
How old is he?
He's honorary member
7.
of our team.
That's right. Yeah.
How
Yeah,
old?
he's a really good squatcher. I mean, he points out breaks and bows, and
Footprints.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he's a very good squatcher.
Yeah.
He's very
Mike,
good on
how
detail.
old is he? How old is he,
He's
Mike?
going to be eight in July.
Oh, that's awesome,
Sometimes
man.
kids
Awesome.
are more perceptive to things that we just
Yeah.
overlook.
Oh,
Yeah.
me and him go out as a team, and we get more stuff happen. Me and him together than anything. Then we get. It's like a lot higher rating or a lot higher percentage that something's going to happen when me and him are together. And we'll make noises and calls with each other, but his sound is totally different than mine. So it sounds almost like two different ones communicating with each other. And we get all kinds of responses and stuff.
There's a question I always like
they-
to have to ask researchers when they come on, and this is for all three of you. What is your most terrifying encounter?
I haven't had one.
Really?
Not a terrifying one, no. Well, I mean, besides like camping out at night where it's absolutely pitch black, you're investigating, you're wandering around, and all of a sudden you hear the barred owls go
Oh,
off
yeah.
within
Oh,
10
yeah.
feet of you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that'll scare the crap out of you for sure.
That's true.
Yeah, well,
But other than
think
that,
mine-
I've seen bears and stuff like that, but nothing
Mhm.
terrifying. What about you, Tim?
Mine is I've been hit with the infrasound twice. One time back when
Really?
I was hunting, I didn't know what it was, and then again here this last year I was hit with it, and it gives you like a real big sense of anxiety. You feel like something's coming out at you. This time I knew what it was. The second time, and I was
is it like having a panic attack almost?
well almost like that, but with me, I mean I'm out in the woods and aware of what's going on anyway, so I'm ready to fight. I was ready to fight. You know, it feels like a bear or something's coming at you, and you're having to fix it, fight it. You're fixing to have to shoot it or fight it. Yeah, yeah. So that's the way it did me.
Yeah,
about
that's
you, Mike?
not the only one.
Mike?
I've had two that made me nervous. One extremely nervous. Me and my dog, I took her with me, and we would go in the areas I didn't want to go by myself. If I was going farther, I take my dog with me, and just so she could kind of alert me and things. Well, I was about 1.5 miles in. I got way farther back than I was really, really ballsy, and I would until this day.
Right.
And me and my dog are walking back, and we went into an area I looked at on a map. I wanted to go check out, and I got into it, and she was smelling everything. I started finding some footprints and found some trees that were bent and some other things, and we came out to this little 4-wheeler trail that goes into the woods, and I found 2 tracks that I measured that were 19 inches long.
Wow.
And they I think it was a 48 inch stretch between them, and in between they were perfect in front of each other, and they were huge. They were 10 inches wide and 19 inches long.
Where was this at?
Pasco, right?
Yeah, it actually was Pasco coming into part of the Cypress Creek Run.
Yeah. No, I know
And
where it's at.
It's just like a preserve.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we came into after we saw the prints. I kind of your oh crap meter goes off, and it says pump the brakes. You stick with this feeling right now. You shouldn't go straight.
Right.
I'm looking at these gigantic footprints, thinking this thing walked that way, obviously, and whatever that is that it's got to be 800 pounds or better, whatever this thing is. And by that time, I got some pictures, and I'm turning around ready to go. And my dog just stopped, and she was just staring at that way, and she just did that real tiny little low growl, and I was like, oh no. And then I knew something was about to happen. I just didn't. So if I wouldn't have been there, I wouldn't have believed it. So the dog is getting all freaked out. You can see up there the bush line was. It was about 10 foot tall. You couldn't see past the bush line anything into it, but you can see 3 trees sticking out above it that were probably about 40, 50 foot tall. And first we heard what sounded like somebody dropped a car on the ground, just boom, like it felt like somebody stomped the ground or boom.
Right.
And I felt it. It was like boom, like I felt it. And dog jumped. She alerted again, and then that tree that was up there in the middle, it shook, and then it went again. and then it went 3 or 4 times more, and the whole thing came over and hit the ground. And we heard a noise that I couldn't even try to mimic. It was so loud and creepy. But my dog turned, and she almost hung herself on her own leash, trying to get away from it. I'm pretty sure if she went on the leash, she would have met me at the truck. She was ready to go.
Yeah.
I yelled at it. I'm leaving. I'm sorry. I called my friend on the phone. He's the only person on earth that knew where I was. I said, remember the place I told you I wanted to go into, and you said don't go by yourself? I went by myself. And but I will say, it scared the crap out of me, but nothing ever happened. I didn't get hurt. But I learned something that day, and I definitely learned that when you feel that gut feeling, and you start seeing, back up a little.
Yeah,
maybe caught one on a grumpy day. Territorial.
Well, I definitely think that there are different personalities of different individuals. I think that they vary pretty much like they do with people. And you catch the wrong one at the wrong time, it can be a very bad day for you.
Exactly.
I personally think the more aggressive ones might be just like a lone male or something. Mm-hmm. More like a 25-year-old guy who's not married. He's just out being a stud. And he's got more anger issues.
Yeah.
Because the family ones seem to be a lot more. The family ones, like you get in a group area, it feels like they seem like they're more just gentle, more calm, and more allowing of you to walk through their area.
Yeah, you're not the only one that said that. There's other researchers in Florida that have said that they noticed. It's crazy how they act. Like you said, when they're in a family unit, they're more chilled. The little ones actually come out and mess with you. Mm-hmm. Like you said, a big male that has got testosterone, off the chain, and he's by himself. You're going to get an aggressive reaction, and it's in any animal community is like that. It's not even just them. It's wild pigs. A male bear. It's the same effect.
Yeah.
So,
have you guys focused exclusively on Central Florida? Have you researched anywhere else?
Our primary focus is the Central Florida area, just because we all live there.
Mm-hmm.
Green Swamp is our primary research location, but we've also investigated Cold Creek State Park, the Hillsborough County tracts, Ocala National Forest. We've investigated Mayaka State Park, Mayaka State Forest, and the Everglades.
And the Everglades, yeah.
Yep.
Well, mentioning you brought up the Mayaka. What's your opinion of that famous Mayaka skunk ape photo?
The photo of the skunk ape. I'm on the fence on that. It's pretty. Every time I look at it, I'm a little more convinced that it could be real, but it's a really good photo. I'm not quite sure. What about you, Tim?
Yeah, the lady's story sounds pretty convincing too.
Yeah.
If it is real, it definitely shows that there could be two different kind, because what I've seen didn't look like that.
Right.
It looked a lot more human. That looked more ape. And what I've seen looked a lot more human.
The Mayaka photo always kind of struck me like an orangutan.
Yeah,
kind of.
A little big for one, and certainly more upright, but
which
especially
would
with the face.
Which would tie into what we said, where we think there's two kinds, and it's down south. There's more primitive, more wild type of one. You know.
Yeah.
Mine looked more Native American. That's what mine was more Native American looking than what I seen. So it looked like Aborigine, and it had gray skin. Yeah, gray skin. It looked human. I mean, I was actually looking at it through a rifle scope.
Wow. Okay.
So it was just too human-like. I mean, you could tell it wasn't just the body and the shape and the face. I mean, it was just big. It was really big, and that's what threw me off. Actually threw me off, and I think we startled it when we ran upon it. Came around the corner. So,
it's funny you said that because Tim, the picture that I have of the face, that one in the face, Marie, that face is like almost that purplish color, and I said it, like he said, Aborigine. Like now I'm thinking about it, that's a good way to put it, because it was like that color skin, and you're right. But the one I have a pretty good picture, and it has a way human nose, and it's even going like this with his tongue in the picture, like it's like he's behind there's a limb going across his face, but you can see his nose and you can see his cheek going like he's doing it with his tongue. Which is weird.
One of the comments in the chat was, since it's warmer in the South, would it be less hairy?
Very well could be. It would be definitely smaller. Most animals, like deer in North Florida, are typically a lot larger than deer in South Florida. It's because of the heat. You know,
probably not as thick a hair, maybe. Maybe not as thick of a coat, or
right.
Well, we noticed that here in Missouri too. Like here in southern Missouri, the deer are much smaller than they are near Iowa because they have a whole different diet. They get a lot bigger up in Iowa for some reason.
Right. So South Florida, you don't have the food sources that you have in northern Florida. So everything's smaller and it's much hotter. And so they don't need all that bulk. So they need to be smaller in order to survive.
And even with their hair, if their hair is actually hollow, like they say it is, okay, it's not going to retain heat. It's actually not going to hold in the heat like it should. And the one I seen, I don't know about you, Mike. It wasn't hairy. It was hairy, but not. You could see the muscle, chest. I mean, it wasn't covered like the Patty one from back. The one that they had on Patty. Mine wasn't covered with hair all over it.
I was literally going to say the same thing you were about to say.
Yeah.
I think that's why everybody says they look like bodybuilders. They're more lean. More lean. You can see the picture, Tim, of the big guy, the one we call the big guy. Yeah. The old guy with the gray.
With the gray beard,
massive. You can see his chest is so big and bulky. He's huge.
Yeah, that's what I basically seen.
So I think that they definitely have hair. It just would be less,
Right.
It'd be more like sparse and stuff like that.
I would think it'd be kind of like species of dogs and wolves. Right. The farther north you get, the thicker the undercoat would be.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the undercoat's what actually keeps them warm.
Right.
Yeah. And which would make them look way bulkier up there, like
right.
And up there, I think it tends to be more reddish browns and stuff than like here. It's mostly the darker blacks and dark grays, blackish gray and stuff that you see a lot.
Yeah, we got a comment on here asking me, don't know the name, it's Facebook user Anthony. Then what do you think the purpose of their hair is? You know what? I'm going to let you guys take this because I have my opinion on it.
Hair?
What do you think the purpose of their hair is if they're down in this way?
I would assume hair would be camouflage.
Exactly. That's again what I thought.
Right? Camouflage, mosquitoes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The perfect swamp coat.
Yeah, I found a lot of hairs that are camouflage looking. They're clear, they're greens, they're brown.
Right.
All mixed into hairs. Yeah.
It actually will take in the light around it. So like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that clear hair shaft allows it to blend a lot more effectively.
Yeah, I think they blend in camouflage better. Yeah.
It could probably turn and almost like disappear, depending on the way it's moving and the way the hair moves around.
I spoke to a guy here in Oklahoma that had sighting. He was Native American, and he said he was walking down a trail near a river, and he rounded a bend, and there was one in the trail, and it looked at him, and he said it just kind of stepped into the trees and just seemed to disappear into the trees. And he said when he went over to the spot, it was just gone.
Yeah.
Right.
I think their undercoat allows them to pick up the color of the foliage around them, and then I think and that's just my opinion. Whether or not people agree with me or not, but again, all we have in this is theory and opinion. And until we actually have a live specimen to study, where anybody's guess is as good as anybody else's. But I think though that adaptation, that clearness of the hair follicles, allowing it to pick up other colors around it, might possibly explain what they refer to as cloaking.
Exactly.
Yeah, cloaking, yeah, that's right,
Exactly.
yeah.
Because some of the hairs that Tim has, like he said, they have a greenish look. They look splotchy, like camouflage, like
Yeah,
a human's camouflage shirt would be, is what some of these hairs look like, And
then the ends of them, they divide out, not really like split ends, but they just divide out real wicked looking. And two, I think that might have something to do with the sound, maybe kept keeping them quiet. Yeah.
I've got countless photos where I go frame by frame trying to get a picture, and it's like you literally see a darker image, then a little bit blurry, and then almost all the way blur, and then it's like it's gone. It's like whoa. It's
Well, if the hair is picking up and reflecting the colors around it, it's probably also refracting light.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I believe too.
Because we know polar bear shafts, the hair of polar bear shafts is clear.
Yeah.
And polar bears are almost invisible when they're hunting, except for the nose.
Right.
And they are confirmed man eaters.
Yeah. Right.
I wouldn't hang out in the snow next to one.
Oh yeah, that would be a bad day right there. What seems to find fascinating is the more you talk about different sightings in different parts of the country of Bigfoot, like down where you guys are at, they seem to be smaller and somewhat less aggressive. But you get farther north, especially up around Canada and Alaska, they're much bigger and they tend to be far more aggressive. But that parallel happens with bears too. I mean, black bears, which you find all over the southern part of the United States, are rarely aggressive unless you get between them and their cubs or threaten one, back it into a corner.
Right, yeah.
You get farther north, you run into a grizzly bear, and they are known to eat people, but it's not their preferred diet. They'll do it. Then you get farther north to the polar bear, and if you get in their way, your food. They're not really picky about that, and they are confirmed man eaters will hunt people down actively. So I think much like Bigfoot, the farther north you get, the more it requires heavier proteins for its diet, and I think that explains why some of them are more aggressive than others.
And they're around a lot less people.
Yeah, definitely a lot less people.
Yeah. They've had to adapt in Florida.
A lot of Florida researchers, and we believe it as well, we tend to think that we have two different creatures here in Florida. That we have Bigfoots, and we have skunk apes.
Skunk apes, yeah.
And the Bigfoots are central to North Florida, and because of the reports, the sightings of a creature that's 7 to 9 feet tall, brownish blackish hair with 5 toes. But once you start heading south, like Mayaka and down to the Everglades, the descriptions totally change. The descriptions are a creature that's 5 to 7 feet tall, and it has 4 toes. Very aggressive.
Yeah, you have David Shealy down there that he finds a lot of 4-toed prints down there.
Yeah, he has over 200 4-toed prints. He has his own collection of them. But we do tend to think that we've got 2 different creatures going on here in our state.
Yep.
And it could very well possibly be because our terrain is very different from one end of the state to the other.
Yeah, so, and we're finding both 4-toes and 5-toe footprints around here in Central Florida.
I would definitely agree that there's more than one type because of the varying descriptions in the sighting reports.
Right.
That could also explain why sometimes you get some aggressiveness and sometimes you don't.
Right. Like the ones down south, the skunk apes, like in the Everglades down south, they're supposed to be very aggressive. That's because everything's trying to eat them. Everything's trying to eat each other down there.
Right.
So a lot more aggressive down there.
Maybe you're not as big of a family grouping type, Maybe they're more loners down there too. Who knows?
Yeah.
We had a question from the chat for you guys. It says, do you guys feel that since they are so large, they eat every morsel of the kill, including bones, because of the amount of calcium?
I don't think they eat bones.
I don't think they eat bones either.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they would either. Alligators will eat bones, but the alligators will eat just about anything.
They'll just eat.
Yeah.
They'll just take everything.
Yeah.
There was an alligator at my friend's house in the lake that there was a basketball floating in the water,
Mhm.
and it went over and it took the whole basketball in its mouth and crushed it. It just ate it. It's like, really? A basketball?
It couldn't have tasted good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to have a English Mastiff, and he would carry a basketball around the yard and play with it.
Uh-huh.
Only dog I've ever had that could pick up a basketball.
Yeah, those are big dogs.
Yeah, but I don't think they eat bones. They could. I've never seen anything like that. We find a lot of kills.
We find deer skeletons, and
Yeah.
yeah. The only thing I think they might do, they may break the bones open to get the marrow out of them.
That was just commented in the chat by 1980
You found a
CNH.
couple
I was going to point
times,
that out.
They're
I've found deer bones broken open in the woods, and not like they'd been chewed open by a wolf or
No.
something. They were snapped.
the snap. Yeah.
Yeah.
We found
And that
that.
reminds me of when remember the Green Swamp, Tim, where we found that deer carcass next to the
Yep.
swamp, and there were 3 bones that were shoved in the ground next to each other.
That's right.
Like they were broken and just whoop, like he probably broke it, sucked it out and just shoved it in the ground. There were 3 of the bones standing straight up. That's not natural. That's not normal.
It's not.
So-
No, that's not something you'll find a wolf or a coyote doing.
No,
Not
no.
sure it wouldn't be. No.
So that very well could be what was happening there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You see
Well,
Miley,
Romero's high
Miley
in
trying to
protein.
sneak on this film?
What's that?
As you see Miley trying to sneak on the camera?
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, Sarah,
Yeah.
Miley's trying to sneak in.
She's a member of our group too.
If I didn't have my door shut, my dog Harley would be in my lap. He's a pit.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big goofball. He likes to be the center of attention.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, mine likes to hang out with me out here too.
Now, in
She had
your
a blast
guys'
last
research
time.
area, have you noticed the same individuals returning, or are you seeing different individual creatures?
You,
Well,
Tim?
I have a little story. I don't know if you want to hear it or not.
Sure, absolutely.
So in the past month, we have found 3 structures that are very similar. And what these are, they look like asterisks.
Yeah.
They're like 2 feet off the ground, and they're made out of sticks that are like 3-4 feet long, and they form like a star, like an asterisk.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1 month, we have found 3 of them in 3 different areas.
Yeah.
But these areas are all connected together. One was in Colt Creek State Park. One was at the Green Swamp.
Mm-hmm.
And the other was in an area outside of Hillsborough State Park. All those areas are connected. So I think that's the same individual or individuals going around. Maybe it's a juvenile that's just creating these things. But we found 3 this past month.
What do you think it means?
I don't know, but
And there's a lot of theories about what the stick formations and what the structures mean. And I'm always interested in hear what everybody's opinions are, because none of us really know exactly what they mean. But I figure the more we exchange ideas on what they could mean, the better theories we could come up with.
Yeah, definitely some kind of marker for something.
yeah, because 2 of the 3 were very close to water.
Yeah.
The first one I found was right next to the creek. And the second one I found was close to a kill zone that I found, and the river. And the last one we just found this weekend, Ruby found it. I don't think there was water
No, there wasn't. No.
around unless it was next to a swamp or something. But I don't know. I think it's some kind of territorial marker, but I don't know why. Certain structures, I have an idea, my own opinion of what they are, but those I don't, because they're small. You know what I'm saying? They're only like 2 feet off the ground, but they are distinct designs that, the sticks are balancing. It's like something arranged it and left it there. And I don't know what it is.
In your areas, do you have a lot of wood knocks or other vocalizations?
We have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get wood knocks. We get quite a few whistles. Like we'll go in on a trail. You can hear them on each side of the trail. It sounds just like a human, just a.
Yep.
And we'll whistle back and forth at each other as we're walking down the trail. Yeah, just like a human whistle.
Yeah, I heard that this past weekend. I was on in Hernando, Florida. I was on a 4-wheeler. And so I'm on a 4-wheeler. It's noisy. You know how noisy they are. And heard 2 whistles loud over the sound of the ATV right next to us.
Wow.
It was like, whoa, what was that? I didn't expect to hear anything on the ATV. But my best vocalization, Anthony, was in Ocala. That's where I had my major vocalization. It was like 1:30 in the morning about 3 years ago. And it was amazing. It was off in the distance. I think it came from around an area where there was like a couple ponds. But it was amazing.
Yeah,
what about you,
from
Mike?
what they said, they're pretty vocal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard them in the Everglades too. We could hear them chattering.
Oh yeah, we heard gibberish.
Yeah,
we heard the gibberish in the.
Did it sound like the samurai chatter from the Moorhead tapes?
Yeah.
Yeah, similar to that. Yeah,
it was way off in the distance, and I'm like.
Yeah, I have heard before too. Something that sounded like someone speaking another language.
Right.
Have you guys ever tried gifting, or what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I have a lot. Yeah,
I have too.
And
been gifted back.
What kind of results did you get?
Well, I get gifted back as well. But we also I would leave apples and candy bars, and the game cameras, they would not catch what was taking it. Either they were coming in so fast and taking it, the camera wouldn't go off, or they had some kind of electrical interference with the camera, so there was missing footage.
But we've also, Mike has put out candy bars.
Yeah.
And he's actually like something took a bite out of one of the candy wrappers, the whole bar itself. They just
like
bit right through
bite.
the whole thing.
Almost the shape of a human bite. Just
right.
Taken out.
And he also have a couple hairs.
Yeah.
multiple times.
Reese's cup.
The wrappers have been torn open and then dropped on the ground. The last time I sent them a picture, I said, look, the wrappers, 2 of them on the ground. They were all moved from my spot. 2 of them torn on the ground. And then I think it was a 16-inch print right in front of it. Where he stood, where his print was as he walked away. It was pretty cool.
I'm of a mixed opinion on the gifting. I've heard good and bad, and I've always been afraid that I might attract the wrong kind of attention with gifting.
Right.
So I just was curious how well it worked for you guys. Because I know Dave
we don't do
from
it that
Spaced Out Radio.
often, but we do it every once in a while. Like usually when there's somebody setting up a trail camera, they'll put out something.
I do mine when I know I want to get footprints, because every time I do it, it's like they reward me with footprints, I swear. Like the next time I'll go in there and they're gone. I usually go like 2 days before we'll go into that area. I'll go and put them in. And then usually by that 2 days, when we go in there, they're gone. And they're usually prints right around the area. And then usually in the area wherever trail I had walked that day in there, when I put them in, is the way they walked along following. It's pretty cool.
I know some researchers swear by gifting and others just absolutely refuse to do it. I was just curious at your position on it. It seems to be kind of a dividing thing with some people. I've never done it. I'm not against it. I don't know if it's how much of a good idea it is, especially considering how aggressive some of them are in our area.
Correct. Because once you stop gifting, what's going to happen,
And it's kind of like the story of a lady I knew that was feeding black bears here in Missouri from her deck. And one day she stopped feeding them and they destroyed her kitchen.
Oh, God.
They broke through the back door and basically ate everything in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's what I would be afraid of.
Yeah, if I lived on the property that I was feeding them on, I would be a little more weary of that for sure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I know
And
Dave
that's
Scott, from the host from Spaced Out Radio. He has a gifting site he's been using for years, but it's miles from his house.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah, you don't want
I
them
definitely
coming
wouldn't want
around.
to feed anything Bigfoot or otherwise off my near my own house. There was something else I was going to ask, and it just completely slipped my mind. I hate it when that happens. And, you have a question fully formed in your head, and it's just gone like smoke. I hate that. I apologize.
That's okay.
I'm getting old.
I was about to say, it goes with our age.
Yeah, it ain't the years, it's the mileage.
Yeah.
Now, I know you started out in paranormal investigations, Marie.
Mhm.
Did you do paranormal investigations exclusively in Florida like you do with Bigfoot, or have you investigated other areas?
As far as like ghost hunting, I
Mhm.
primarily it's been in Florida and Savannah, Georgia, because Savannah's crazy haunted, so it's always a
Yeah.
fun place to go. So
I'm always fascinated by the paranormal stories.
Oh, yeah.
As far as like spotting stuff like that, I refer to myself as a psychic brick. I just don't generally see stuff like that. But my wife is very in tune to that, and so is my youngest son.
Mhm.
I mean, when they're getting the heebie-jeebies, I'm like, hey, this is kind of a cool house.
Yeah, you're like great.
Here's how this
architecture.
place looks. We fixed it up.
Hey, Marie, maybe we should go back to that house that I found.
Oh yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Definitely.
that would've been-
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Savannah, Georgia, and a lot of places in Florida, like Brooksville Museum, very haunted, great place. Of course, everything in Savannah. It's just, that's how I started.
Yeah.
And once started experiencing, I've seen it all. I've had it all happen. Everything you think of, for ghost hunting, it's happened.
Mhm.
I've experienced it. So it's been great. And then when I started with aliens and UFOs, same thing. Eventually, I was doing it so much, sky watches and CE5s and stuff like that, and going out every weekend with my friends, just sitting out for hours on end, watching the sky. We would see things. I've had 2 UFO sightings, 2 different crafts, and I've actually seen some aliens. So
Oh, that's really cool.
it's fascinating to me. The whole paranormal world just fascinates the crap out of me.
Yeah, that's the same thing with us here. We don't just specify any one cryptid. We kind of we delve into stories from all kinds of places, and I've been out, going to paranormal investigations. I've been out. I've never really gone out doing the UFO thing, but I do find it very fascinating, and I do believe that we are being visited. I've never done it, but the cryptids are always going to be near and dear to my heart.
And when we've done the UFO, like sky watches and stuff like that, we've also had paranormal activity happen.
Mhm.
We've seen shadow figures. We've had mysterious lights appear around us at the time.
Right.
We've had our cars, the lights just going off, the car lights just flashing on and off by themselves. So we've had a lot of paranormal activity while, doing sky watches looking for UFOs.
Mhm.
So ghost hunting, you get that kind of thing. Aliens, sky watching, you get that kind of thing. And with Bigfoot, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
We're getting paranormal stuff that's happening out there.
Yeah. Especially around the Green Swamp area.
Yeah, we even had in the Everglades. Remember we with the was it deer call?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Deer
pulled out a deer call and we're showing it to everybody and fixing to
And
use it.
before he said deer call,
Mm-hmm.
his recorder picked up a whisper saying deer call
Yeah.
before he even said the word deer
a
call.
woman's voice. Yeah.
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 Wow.
We can't explain that stuff. We're in the middle
Oh,
of nowhere. There's
yeah,
no
definitely.
electricity. There's no
Right.
plumbing. There's no water.
Mhm.
We're in the middle of the Everglades, nowhere land, and we're getting voices.
Yeah,
Right.
like here,
Swamps hold deep mysteries, and they always
Yeah.
have.
In the Green
Walking
Swamp,
down a
we've got
road.
a lot of
Yeah.
EVPs there too.
We were walking down the road and seen some scat and fixing to stop and look at it, and we caught another voice said poop
Yeah.
on audio too. Yeah, yeah, right
Okay.
before we could say.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
I was doing a video of a structure, and I was talking about it, and I was just like, I stopped for a second because I couldn't think of the word structure, and on the video you could hear structure. You can hear them saying it before I did.
That's wild.
It's wild, you know. But we're not woo researchers. It's
Right.
just happening while we are Bigfooting.
Right.
Yeah, we share everything we find.
And we can't explain that, but we're sharing everything as it happens, you know?
Mhm.
Well, I think that's important. I mean, you know, even if something happens that goes against what you would normally expect, you need to report everything that happens
Yes,
because you never know when it becomes significant.
correct.
Tim Bama Bigfoot had a question for you. Says, have you ever had lost time out in the Green Swamp?
I haven't, no. And I've spent a lot of time out there, even back when I was hunting a lot too. I've been out there a lot, even by myself. And
I heard of somebody who lost some time. Who was it, Tim? Do you remember? Was it Bill? Or I don't know. I remember hearing a story of somebody who got like really confused and they had some lost time.
Yeah, somebody told us that recently.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was.
No.
On your team?
No.
No.
Oh.
1980 CNH says, have you all had any stories of lizard men type creatures?
Lizard?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Reptilians. Yeah, reptilians. I have actually got a couple of photos that I'm pretty sure are reptilians. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very large alligator.
In the Green Swamp.
Yeah.
Very large bipedal alligator.
Now, I've heard of some people having UFO sightings while they were out in the woods Bigfooting.
I've heard that as well.
I've also heard
Right.
that even in Ocala. I know somebody who's had 2 UFOs encounters in the Ocala National Forest.
Had a question from a Facebook user. Says, paranormal is fascinating. Do you think our cryptids and anomalies are alien experiments?
I don't know if they're alien experience. They could very well just be aliens.
It could be related, yeah.
They could be related, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of orbs on the game camera photos and on thermal that could be related, yeah.
But I think that's an interesting approach to look at it, especially when you start looking at some of the overlapping stories like Bigfoot and UFO stories that
Right.
you know, people spotted a UFO while Bigfooting or Bigfoot, you know,
Exactly.
or Bigfooting and the other way around. You know, because it's bizarre how the coincidences happen sometimes. It overlaps. Like I've known people that have gone out Bigfooting and wound up running into a haunting. It's just really odd stuff. And for some strange reason, we seem to get a lot of Bigfoot and Dogman stories that are centered around cemeteries.
Really? Dogmen around cemeteries. Why would that be?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know if it has something to do with, you know, possibly looking to dig up old bones.
Wow.
I know I had something follow me at a cemetery in LBL. So, yeah, I don't know what attracts them, but there seems to be a large number of encounter sightings that happen either in or near cemeteries.
Huh.
I'm not by a whole lot of cemeteries.
I've seen hogs in cemeteries.
I've never
wild
seen a hog in
hogs.
a cemetery.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
I have seen,
I've seen
hogs tearing
I've
up
seen a lot of
tearing up
a lot of bodies. I've seen a lot of bodies in cemeteries.
I've seen a lot of bodies.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the questions and the comments, guys.
Yeah, I was catching up on some of the questions, making sure I didn't mention anything. Now I know, you know, you guys have found a lot of trackways and stuff, but because of the dampness of the swamp, have you been able to cast any of them?
Yeah, we have casted quite a few, yeah. Some of them have turned out really good, some
Do you
don't.
have to modify your casting technique for the damp ground?
Maybe just by the mixture a little bit, sometimes a little bit thicker, a little bit thinner.
But Tim, he sprays his print with hairspray, right?
Right.
Yeah, with hairspray. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that
Before he
To-
even starts to
to seal
help.
everything in place. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's, we have found prints that are just way too wet,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But we have been able to cast. Mike finds fabulous prints, and he's been able to cast them. He's got a pair, a left and a right footprint that's 16 inches
16
long,
inches. Yeah.
and
I think so.
he has a really good one with some really gnarly toes.
Hmm.
He's got some really good prints for sure.
I've got one area in my area where they seem to go through that spot a lot, and the mud under there is one of the few areas that is that dark black mud without a lot of the grass in there and all that moss and everything. Usually you can't get a good footprint. It's real hard to get a real good.
Yeah.
It's just hard. You get a lot of imprints, but it's hard to see the definition. But
That's
that
right.
area is one of the few areas where we get a lot of definition in footprints. We got one that we see. I know it's the same one all the time because he's got one big toe he loads up. The other toes are missing. It's like he's holding them up in the air or something. It's weird.
Tell them about the print you got with the finger drag.
That was at Cypress Creek Park. Just a regular little park thing. I just was checking out an area, and I found a really weird print, which me and Tim now think it was an alligator.
Yeah.
Possibly could have been a gator print because it
Yeah.
wasn't real long and it looked like it had almost had claws to it. And so I made the cast of it. It was me and my son with it first, and then I went back on myself. So I left my phone in the truck, and I'm thinking, oh, I left my phone in the truck. I know something weird's going to happen now.
Yeah, it always does.
Always. So I ride back there on my bike, and I get back to the area where the print is, and I start making the print. As I'm making the print, I start my radar starts going off. I'm getting something watching me. I feel it, and I'm looking around. I'm like, I know I feel it. Then I hear something that sounds like it kind of ran by me. I'm like, all right, you guys are messing with me. So I go back. I finish the print, and I go walk off about 2 blocks away, and I was gone for about 10 minutes. And I came back maybe 15 minutes or so, and I was just going to check the print to see where it was at because it was real hot that day. And came back, and there were 3 on the left side of the print. There were 3 like 1.5 inch wide finger drags through the print. There was 3 of them where it looked like he walked by and reached out and drug his fingers through the print and wanted to see what it was. And then on the other side of the cast, there were 2 different other sizes, like look like fingerprints, like it just touched it, like a little bit smaller one and a kind of medium size. Well, like a family could walk by real quick. As I turned around, like they just walked by and all touched it.
Yeah, curious. Wondering what it was. Yeah.
It ended up making one of the weirdest, coolest casts that we have.
Yeah, and they're really big fingers. I mean, like Mike, stuck his fingers there so you could see. They're like twice the size of his fingers.
I have pretty big hands, and the thing was like,
right.
Finger.
Caught a couple of clear hairs in it also where they did the drag.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two clear hairs in it. Yeah.
That's wild. I'd like to see a picture of that cast. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
I have to get you one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
William Nighthawk, he's a longtime listener of the show. He says, in order to capture the best picture of Bigfoot, Dogman, or skinwalkers, you have to use a full spectrum camera. I'm not even sure what a full spectrum camera is.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean,
it's not something I have in my inventory anyway.
We have thermal.
Yeah, I don't.
We have thermal cameras, and we have night vision, cameras and binoculars and things like that.
I've got a thermal camera. I've got some night vision gear, and I've got one of those parabolic mics for recording audio.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's really useful.
I'll turn my camcorder behind me. I'll turn it backwards and film behind us a lot too when we're walking.
That's a good policy because sometimes you never know what might peek out behind you watching you leave.
Yeah, they're watching.
Right.
Yeah. But
or have something double back on you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how much a full spectrum camera is. It's probably pretty expensive, I would assume.
Yeah, that sounds expensive. Yeah.
But we'd love to have one. So
heck yeah.
We need sponsors.
They're like a couple of $1,000. Yeah.
Are they really? Jeez.
Yeah.
He says it's a camera used during paranormal activity investigation.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Full spectrum, so it's
Yeah,
got
I
to be
don't-
picking up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magnetic fields. It picks up. I guess it does all that. So I don't know. But I'm not jumping off. I'm not jumping off, guys. I gotta let the boss man out here because he's bugging me. So excuse me
Okay.
for 1 minute.
Okay.
What do you guys think is your single best piece of evidence?
Ooh, geez, we
'Cause
have
it sounds
so
like
much.
you guys have gathered quite a bit.
We have a lot. Yeah.
We
We
have
have
a
a lot.
lot. It's hard to
Uh-huh.
say.
Yeah.
And each one of us could probably say a different thing.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, Mike's got great casts. He's
Probably
got
some
great.
of the casts we have. Yeah.
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 Yeah. He's
Mhm.
definitely got some great casts.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've got hairs. Tim's got hairs that he can't identify, and he's got a collection of
Mhm.
animal hairs. So when he finds a hair, he compares it to his, the hairs that he has.
Yeah.
So he's able to identify it. But he's got some hairs he can't identify
Yeah.
at all.
We even got I got cattle hair, horse hairs,
Hmm.
as well as all the animals, the hogs, the deers, the raccoons,
Mhm.
bobcat, all that stuff. So yeah.
Most universities have a library of things like that you could compare it to if you found something you couldn't identify.
Mhm.
Especially if they've got a veterinarian program. You can always count on schools like that to help you identify something you don't know what it is.
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
Waynette, she captured on Tim's thermal. Remember Tim?
Yeah.
You
Hey
wanna
guys, I need to
talk
turn
about
the
that?
camera off just for a couple minutes. All right.
No
Yeah.
problem, sir.
Do you want to tell him about it, Tim?
Yeah. About the movement.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes when that helps me film, she'll use the camcorder sometimes and film, or sometimes she'll take the thermal camera and she'll film with it while I'm doing something else. And she was one day we were out there in the green swamp and we were I don't remember exactly what we were doing, but I handed the thermal camera to her and I said, "Here, it's filming." So she thought she'd seen some movement, so she was standing there with the thermal camera and she held it pretty still too. And I put it in one of my videos. You can see some pretty good movement. Some of it, I use the black hot a lot. I really like the black hot, and some of it you can see is really, really black, really hot, and it's moving pretty good, moving sideways, moving in and out.
Yeah, it's like
Moving
putting it.
down.
It looks like it's putting its arm around the tree, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So you can definitely see something standing there, putting its arm around the tree.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't tell what it is, but you can
No,
tell it's
But yeah.
something. There's
Yeah.
something there.
Sure
Doing it.
can, yeah.
Mhm.
That's one of the things I always found kind of a plus and a minus to thermals. It allows you to see something you wouldn't normally see, but it doesn't really give you enough clarity to tell what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a
But then there's
double-edged sword.
times we have things happen, like we've done night investigations, pitch black. And all of us have our night vision and thermal. We're looking around and stuff. And
All right. Sorry, guys.
something's thrown at us. And we only know this because Tim looked at his video later on, a few days later. He's like, hey, something was thrown at us.
Yeah. Caught it on
So
the night.
something is flying across the screen, and
Yeah.
you can hear it thunk. It hits his backpack,
Mhm.
and then it hits the ground.
Yeah.
And here we are with our thermal cameras, night vision. We're not seeing anything, and yet this happens.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the
guys.
stick was like this big. It
Yeah.
was like a 4-inch stick that was thrown at us. So
Yeah, we went back and Marie actually found what we think was the stick. Yeah.
yeah. And how is it we couldn't see it with the thermal camera or night vision? It had to be pretty close because it's only a 4-inch stick being thrown at us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It looked like it came directly across the trail from the
Right.
a little bit of thicker wooded area.
We can't explain that. We should have seen it, but we couldn't.
Yeah.
Nothing
That
we
same
had.
that night in my area too, where we didn't hear nothing.
Yeah.
We
That's right.
didn't
Yeah.
hear nothing, didn't feel nothing. It was just
Mhm.
dead quiet. And then your camera caught something
Yeah.
flying
I
up.
caught one also that looked like another stick, almost the same size. it came across in front of the camera and hit the metal chair when that was carrying. Yeah, you could hear the metal ding.
Sorry, guys. My dog and kids and everybody is trying to mess with me right now.
Never fails, man. It never fails. I've been there many times.
They're driving me crazy. My dog's following me and then barking.
Oh, jeez. She wants to say hi.
It's supposed to be on camera.
Yes.
Yeah. Where'd you go, Maya?
One of the areas I've gone to more than several times here in the Mark Twain National Forest in Missouri. I've had an experience where things just went absolutely dead quiet and stayed that way for an extended period of time.
Wow.
And that's one of those moments when you're just like, maybe I should be somewhere else right now. A hot cup of coffee and a Waffle House sounds really nice right now. Have you guys ever had anything like that happen?
Oh yeah. It's that scary quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's weird that similar behaviors are being observed in far different parts of the country. I mean, our terrain is nothing like yours.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you still get those similar behaviors.
Yeah.
And I think that those consistencies, I think that's what lends credence to the existence of the creature, because much like with Native American lore, they described similar creatures with similar behaviors with tribes that never even interacted.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I find just very fascinating, especially the historical aspect of the legends of Bigfoot, and I think that gives far more credibility to the presence of an unknown primate than anybody really wants to give credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's enough anecdotal evidence alone to bear a full scientific research into the subject, but the scientific community, by and large, still has not really taken effective notice of it. We're starting to get people that are coming forward, like Dr. Meldrum, and we've had a few other scientists actually kind of stake their reputations on some of the research, but it's not catching on the way I would hope it would, and hopefully that'll change in the very near future.
Right.
I mean, you guys alone with hair samples, sighting samples, the stuff you've recorded on thermals, track evidence, you've got enough right there to warrant a major university getting involved in your research area. Yet, nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We just launched a website for our team. You can find it at www.midfloridabigfoot.com. And on there, you learn about our team. There's a bio for every person, but there's also a gallery, a photo gallery. And you could look right there and you could see, the best, a lot of the stuff that we have seen out there.
What was that website address again?
Midfloridabigfoot.com.
Okay.
And if you look at the gallery, you'll see all kinds of pictures there.
I'm going to pull that website up and then share it in the chat.
Right. So, you look at that gallery and you're like, holy cow, there's stuff you can't explain, and maybe some of it will look familiar to you as well.
It might. And, it's like you were saying, some of the things that you guys are observing, we've observed up here.
Right. So if you go to the website, look at the gallery and take a look at the pictures, you'll see.
And you said you guys going down south too, the structures are a lot different down there. Like it was a different type of creature. You said they weren't as like the structures aren't as advanced.
Or much smaller because the building materials are smaller. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to find these giant teepees like you find in the Pacific Northwest because we don't have trees like that.
Right.
We have scrub oaks, that are, very brittle. You've got scrawny pines, you just don't have the building materials. So what you find further south is stuff that's much smaller. I found like little teepee structure that was about 1.5 feet tall in Mayaka.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever found nests?
We have found some things that look like shelters or hunting blinds.
Yeah,
I don't know about an actual nest.
Different times, yeah.
Corey Cole asked me, he said, what type of parabolic device works best? The Oklahoma wind makes it different. It makes it difficult. What kind of parabolic device do you guys use?
Well, we haven't really used them that much. We're just starting to get into that. We've always had recording devices, but not a parabolic device. I think Troy and Desi are working on one right now.
Yeah, they're working on building one. Yeah, that
Yeah.
they learned a lot from the Dr. Bill Hewitt that we went out with recently.
The
Well,
one I've
that's
got
the
is
perfect
not
pair for
an
that, too.
expensive one, but it does a pretty good job.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's got a spot where you can plug headphones into it.
Right,
And
right.
what I did, it's got a
Yeah.
small amount of onboard recording capability. But what I
Mhm.
did is I put an auxiliary splitter in it, and I have a little electronic recorder that holds like 60 gig, and I just plug it in and then plug my headphones in, and I can get quite a bit of audio that way. But if you're worried about the wind, you might want to get like a microphone sock that goes over those little fuzzy ones, because it will pick up everything. I mean, you've got to breathe shallow when you use the thing, because it will pick up pretty much everything.
There's some people even make them.
Mhm.
And I just posted a YouTube video in the Mid-Florida Bigfoot Research Group. It's called Microphones and Parabolics. This guy in Tennessee, he's a researcher there. He does a great job at explaining about parabolics and microphones, and he makes them himself. He's made them out of garbage cans. He's made them out of water bottles, so you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money to make
Yeah.
one. He shows you how to make it for next to nothing, which is really great.
I might have to look into that, because
Yeah,
the one I've
yeah.
got's just not a very expensive one. It does a good job, but it picks up like even behind the mic with the
Correct.
dish. You would expect it to pick only what it's aimed at. No, if you're breathing really loud, I'm like, first time I was using it, I pointed at the back part of my property, and I was pointing at it, and I'm like, I hear breathing. Wait, that's me.
Right. And that's what the guy
I got all excited
explained.
for a second.
He said some of those parabolic mics, you're going to get the sounds going on all the way around you, but you can't tell which direction the sound's coming from.
Right.
You're just hearing the
Mhm.
noise, but you have no idea where it's coming from because you're wearing the headphones. And, so exactly what you just said is what the guy talked about. But it's really good. I'll tag you in it, DA, so you
Awesome.
can look
I'd love
at
to-
it. It's
love
called
to check that
Microphones
out.
and Parabolics.
Nice.
It's a really
Yeah,
good YouTube video.
The one I've got was kind of a cheapie, but it does a decent job. But I do want to get a better one.
Somebody says we're getting an echo. Is anybody getting an echo?
I'm not hearing anything.
I don't
hear
know.
I heard one.
No.
Facebook user says we're getting an echo. And no one's. I don't know. No one said anything else in the comments, but he's saying we are.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not picking up anything on my end. That's odd.
Me either.
Me
So-
neither.
Yeah, I don't hear anybody.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mike.
What?
Yeah.
You sound like the Lou Gehrig microphone. I am.
Yeah. Meg says no. They're not getting an echo.
Okay. Maybe it was just a glitch.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then Eddie says you all sound fine. So
Okay.
Restream and StreamYard seem to not really play well with Facebook, so it might be something through Facebook.
it might be.
Facebook is kind of its own thing when it comes to audio.
Good. Right.
Yeah, everybody else that are on YouTube says it sounds fine. Everything's fine.
All right.
So
Tell us a little bit about about the videos you guys have been taking.
Tim?
Yeah, I film a lot when I'm out there. I'm using the GoPro on my chest, like a body camera. I film with the camcorder, and I've been filming with the thermal camera too. So I film a lot when we're out there, and then I'll put the videos together and show everybody what we're finding.
Are those available just on Facebook, or do you have a YouTube channel?
Just on YouTube.
Okay.
On YouTube, yeah. Tim T in Florida.
But you
Okay.
do post it in our group.
Post them on the group, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Facebook, on our Facebook group, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I also do little tiny videos myself. If I find something really, really, really unique, I just do like a 1 minute, 2 minute video tops.
Like a TikTok.
But it's on YouTube.
On
And
YouTube.
the YouTube channel is also called the same thing, Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group.
Me and Tim are like human meters. We both just start. We start going off. I get a little worse than Tim. Tim gets it. I get a little stronger, and I've gotten to where I'll be like, I'll get that feeling. And I'm like, Tim, or something close, and I'll go. And it's crazy how accurate it's been. Me and Tim were just talking about this, and I was like, I'll be like, I'll get that feeling and kind of stare into an area, and I'll be like, hey Tim, take your thermal and aim it over my left shoulder, 2 o'clock, and almost, it's probably 99% of the time he goes back and sees something in that, something hot will show up in that area.
Yeah, when I go back and look at the footage, it'll show something. Yeah.
Yeah, Tim and Mike are very sensitive. They can.
My wife just chimed in from the other room. She says the only echo I hear is DA in the office of our house and on a living room TV. So she's hearing me through the wall and on TV.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, Mike's be more sensitive than I am. Sometimes I can feel him watching us, and then sometimes it's a heavier, like a heavy feeling on my head, a pressure on my head, where I can feel him watching.
Yeah, Mike is very sensitive.
Yeah,
What's funny, Tim, is Tim, I never had that feeling like that in my ears until that day that I got hit with the infrasound deal.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And ever since that's when it's like I get that pressure in my ears every time I get close to them.
Yeah.
Do you think that the infrasound incident may have put you more in tune with them?
Something. I don't know. Something happened. I don't know. For 3 days, I had a migraine for almost 3 days, and my ears felt swollen inside.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. Tim's actually the first one that said that. He said, I think you got hit with infrasound.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's how I ended up meeting them.
Yeah, he
What
had
did
all
that
this
feel like?
What's that?
The infrasound. What did that feel like when it hit you?
Well, I was down. The area I was in. You have to drive. You have to ride a bicycle only.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get back there with any motorized vehicles. So I rode a bicycle for about 1.5 miles back in. Then I jumped off the bike and went another 0.5 mile. So I'm back here by myself. And I went down a trail that my meter again went off and said, don't go down here. There's a tree blocking this trail and something don't want you back here. And I went anyway. And about that time I heard a tree break to the right of me. It sounded probably like a 5 or 6 inch round tree. If you've ever heard one snap, it's extremely loud when there's not another noise around. Mm-hmm. And this thing, as soon as it did that, I kind of froze and I couldn't see. I was trying to squat and see because it was only 30 yards away from me. And close to where the water runs through. And that thing let off a rumble that was like, to me, it sounded like a mixture of if you could picture what a 2,000-pound male alligator would sound when they're doing their mating, almost at that real low, it was the real low, like rumble. And then it got to a louder, like different sound as it got louder.
Was it multi-tonal?
Yes. It started off lower and kind of grew and got louder. And then it stopped. And then it instantly was like, oh, something is way too close. And I left that place and it followed me for a good 0.5 mile. Mm-hmm. And it was walking parallel with me. A couple times, I think it was sticks it was throwing at me. Mm-hmm. And this thing followed me for a good 0.5 mile. And I thought, this was the first time I ever went by myself. the very first time that I go by myself and this happened. And I called Tim and I met with Tim. There was only 2 people I first contacted. It was Stacy Brown and it was Tim and ISRT. And that's how I met all of them. They came out and did an investigation with me.
Yeah.
I made a homemade trailer, pulled it behind my bicycle, and we all went out in the middle of the woods on bicycles and went back to where it happened.
Yeah.
What did you feel, Mike? Were you feeling? You said you had a migraine, but what else were you feeling?
Migraine, major pressure in my ears for 3 days. 3 days, it felt like I sat next to a gun that went off too close to me.
But you didn't feel that at the time you were out
when
there?
it first hit you, what did it feel like?
It didn't feel that much. I didn't really feel much. It was afterwards. It was about 10 minutes afterwards is when I started feeling it. it didn't really feel anything at first. It was like I said, about 10 minutes after I just got the worst major migraine, and then all that pressure in my ears, and it stayed that way.
Tim, you said you'd been hit with infrasound too. What did it feel like when it hit you?
Yeah, I have a couple of times. It mainly just you just start feeling a lot of anxiety. You feel like you need to leave, like you shouldn't be there.
I've had that happen a couple of times, but I never really associated it with infrasound. I just would get into a spot and suddenly I just had the feeling like you should not be here. I very anxious, like you were saying, like, I probably need to back the heck out of here. Yeah. But I never really associated it with infrasound because I didn't hear anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the first time it happened was back when I was hunting, and when it was happening to me, I was trying to figure out what was going on. I'm like, why am I feeling like this? Because I would hunt during the daytime. I would hunt at night. We would hunt at night without flashlights. I mean, I wasn't scared of anything in the woods, so I was trying to figure out what was going on to make me feel like that. And then the second time it happened, I knew what it was, and I stood my ground and was standing ready to fight. Because I had some of our other team there too. I'll protect them. So I was standing ready to fight, and but instead of drawing my gun out, I knew what it was. So I held the camera and just kept filming and zoomed in on it, trying to zoom in on the spot that I could feel it coming from. Yeah.
Did it affect your equipment?
Oh.
No, that didn't affect the equipment at all. No.
Yeah, we have had affect our equipment.
Yeah, we have had some. Yeah. The one time where Marie's phone came on and went to a weather video, is that my camcorder memory card as well? My camcorder wouldn't work. Yeah.
I've always wondered if infrasound might have something to do with the effects that happen to electronics, because I know resonance frequencies can do all kinds of things.
Well, do people claim that they actually feel?
I have talked to a number of people that said they literally felt it
after the
vibrating
fact they feel like crap.
Well,
I've talked to several people that said that they literally felt it vibrating inside them.
Wow.
Right. There's a I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story. There's actually a couple in Cuba that work for the State Department, and I know it has nothing to do with Bigfoot, but it has to do with the sounds. And there's a mechanized weapon that the government's been using, foreign governments, whoever it was, and these people got hit with it. I think it was not microwaves. It was I think it was infrasound, but it damaged them so bad that their ailments, I mean, from having a physical a month before all this happened, both of them are deathly sick. It was on YouTube, and they had the whole interview was on 2020, and they weren't the only ones. Two senators or two representatives for the senators in Washington got hit coming down the Capitol stairs.
Wow.
It's weird. And it's actually there's two versions of it. This weapon that they use, it's actually one is in a van, and the other one is handheld, almost like a giant rifle, where you can actually point it at it, and it'll go through walls, everything. And one of them actually had an account to where it was him and his wife and the kids in the room, and the whole room. As soon as he walked out of the room, he felt fine. As soon as he went back into the room to grab his kids, he got deathly sick again and dizzy and all that. And they had a big special on it that they're using these weapons, and even the military's using them for crowd control.
Right.
To where they're shooting that. Right. You could watch the videos from DARPA. Yeah, DARPA has a video up, and they're actually doing experiments on a crowd. And you'll see this thing mounted on a Humvee, and it'll actually capacitate. There must have been 60, 70 people. Drop them to their knees.
High energy sonics can do a lot of damage.
Right.
And infrasound is just essentially an organic sonic weapon, I would think.
There's something. I was telling Tim, I'm convinced that whatever's doing the radio wave or whatever they're doing, it's some type of energy that I mean, me and him can pick up on it. But not only that, but when the meter's picking it up, we had the meter go off, and it was spiking, like going off the chart. His wife was holding it, and I was just kind of like joking around and made one of my noises, and said, "It's okay. We're not here to hurt nobody. We're blah blah." It stopped. Never came back on again.
Is that the magnetic field meter? What do they call it? The EMF meter? Is that what that is?
Tri-field meter.
Tri-field meter, yeah. We're using it to try to tell if it's actually infrasound that's hitting us or if it's the radio frequency.
Yeah, I mean, I know that even tigers use infrasound.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
I think a lot of what a researcher's experience in the woods is based upon their intent when they go in. And I'm not saying that Bigfoot is like reading their minds or anything like that, but much like when you're walking your dog and they meet a new person, dogs can sense the intent on people. If they intend to do you harm, that dog will get in a defensive position. I think animals are very in tune with picking up the intent that we go in. If you go in and looking to shoot one, I don't think you're going to see one.
Right.
But I don't go in unarmed, but I have no plans to shoot one. I'm just very cautious. I mean, 20 years in law enforcement basically taught me to cover my butt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's why I carry it, because you don't know who you're going to run into out there.
Exactly. Right. And it's like with
I mean, there's plenty of dangerous animals that aren't cryptid related.
Yeah.
We're having Jesus come on Saturday, and he has a good idea or a good theory, which could be possible, and it was about their infrasound, but it also has to do with their cloaking and their hair. He says, what if it's doing it and it's vibrating their hairs so much on their body that it's actually changing color? Well, you know that the hairs are going to pick up color around it, and it actually camouflages them. We all know that now. Okay.
Every picture looks like they're moving.
Right. So what if that infrasound that they're doing is actually vibrating their hairs on their body to where it does look like it's cloaking?
Yeah.
But yet it's not. It's actually just disappearing in front of your eyes because of it vibrating the hair so much. It's just the light spectrum is just changing everything. I mean, that's a pretty good theory if you think about it. It makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
That is pretty cool.
Because there are things out there that, science is like, oh, well, that animal can't possibly do something like that. We can't cloak. How do you know they can't cloak?
Right.
These are animals that, we're still trying to, prove they exist and blah, blah, blah. Look at chameleons.
I was about to say that. Right. Look at the
photographers in the wild have noted
they can stand on anything,
color.
And they can totally change their coloring to match what it is they're standing on. So I do think that Bigfoots could possibly have some special natural ability.
Right.
To camouflage themselves that, hasn't been experienced yet.
Right.
It hasn't been noticed yet by science, So, but I think it is possible. It would explain the cloaking.
Anything is possible,
It's just easier to see them on film than it is to see them in person.
Right.
Bigfoot Bud says, "Is there a difference in infrasound and in the feeling of dread?"
Dread, probably.
I feel like it's when you're getting hit with sound, it's giving you that feeling. Yeah. Even Waynette felt that one time too when she actually found a deer carcass, and she was feeling that feeling of dread like that too, and like something was there watching us, and that we needed to hurry up and leave. And she's been getting hit with the infrasound as well. Yeah.
That's like having a panic attack. It's almost the same thing like you're describing, especially with people that have PTSD or panic attack disorder. Like I get panic attacks. Okay. It could be the minutest thing set me off. Stupid. 1 minute you'll see the whole change in me. It's like whoop. And I understand what you're talking about, Tim, how it hits you out of nowhere and you're like, oh, it sounds like the same thing. It'll bring you to your knees mentally because you're not prepared for it.
Right.
You know, you're not prepared to get that kind of feeling that overcomes you. And it sounds just like the panic attack, just like me. I mean, I could be driving in a car. I've actually drove in a car down to pick my son up in South Florida, and when I still live, in Ocala, and it's a 4-hour trip. I've been actually an hour into the drive and turn around and come home.
Wow.
That's how bad. Or pull off to the side of the road and just sit there, or in the rest area for 8 to 10 hours just to get my Apposure and then go, because it will, like you said, it actually damages you, man. People don't realize that. People, infrasound and panic attacks and all that. The mind is the most worst weapon and craziest weapon to have. What it'll do to your body. Your mind will make you sick. And like if you get hit with the infrasound, it's just, it'll put you down like that.
Right.
So.
Well, we've seen demonstrations that have been filmed where tigers using infrasound have just stunned their prey, where they just froze and the tiger then took it out.
And that makes sense to me.
And it's really weird that what infrasound can do. And I think that there are different effects that infrasound can have, and it may affect different individuals in different ways. And I also think the power that they put behind the burst can affect the outcome. Like if they just intend to make you nervous or make you feel that sense of dread and leave, it's probably low end. But if they intend you harm, they could probably do it a lot more powerfully.
Yeah.
Well, what they say, a tiger's infrasound is, they have 2 different levels. One is so high that you can't hear it, and then the other one you can hear with the human ear. When they do it, and elephants have infrasound too. They use it. There's other animals out there. Hey, John's in the chat, so everybody say hello to my Uncle John.
Hey,
John
John.
Allen, right there. But the tigers do the same thing, like we were talking about. They'll hit you, and then you can't even hear it. And then there's another level where you can. It sounds almost like a bellow, but a real high pitched bellow you can hear. So, and there's been guys that said it actually hurt their ears, just by it being directed at them.
Which is what Mike has had. He's had
right,
just with his ears.
Right. And then you said you had a migraine for like 3 days.
And my ears have always now ever since then I get that almost the same pressure in my ears when I go out there and I'm close to something. It's almost the same exact type of pressure in my ears again.
Yeah, because listen, your inner ear, your inner ear will put, like same thing. It'll put you down for days.
Oh yeah.
I've seen it with my dad. My dad had tendonitis. He would get out of nowhere, get a dizzy spell, and he'd be down for 3-4 days. People that have vertigo, same thing. It messes you up, man. Getting migraines and stuff on top of it. I mean, there's a lot, like me and DA said, and other people said, we don't know enough about these creatures, and until, my opinion, somebody's going to have to do a scientific study on a body, and I hate to say it, to where they could dive deep into it on an autopsy and go, okay,
or a live specimen,
right?
Studying
Or this
the
is
live
why,
specimen would be
right. This is why it has infrasound. This is why his hair changes and why it looks like it's cloaking. And those are all the answers we're going to get.
Right.
Like me, you, DA, and all of us could go out and do all the research we want. Until you have, and I hate to say it, I know people are going to flip. We have a body on a slab and an actual scientist, and it's well known and creditable and put out into the public. Okay, this is why it does this. Now we know. That's how they found out. How do you think they found out about tigers and elephants? You think they went out and did research and they go, oh, that's how they did it? No, they studied it and
studied bodies, and they studied ones in captivity.
Right. So that's where we need to get. And it's, like DA said, in the next couple of years, I think it's going to happen. You know, I mean, look what they're doing now. They're finally admitting to UFOs.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
I mean, you
right.
got
Plus,
You
you've
got
got
Navy
certain
pilots.
government agencies revealing more about Bigfoot. Like there are
Right.
trails in the Pacific Northwest that have been marked, by the Parks Department. Known Bigfoot habituation areas. Hike
Right.
at your own risk. The state of Ohio released a series of Bigfoot videos on what to do if you encountered one. And when I heard they were releasing those, I thought, oh, these are going to be a joke, and they're not. They are
That's great.
legit videos.
That's great.
No,
Wow.
that is.
Well, look at what the hunting down here. If you look in FWC, some of their pamphlets, you go down by the Swanee. I think there's one over here in Ocala. It's against the law to hunt a Bigfoot and kill it.
Yeah.
It's in their pamphlet.
Yeah, I've seen that in the Swanee River area pamphlet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Several
Okay,
states
so
have passed laws preventing hunting of them.
One
the
thing
state of
happened-
Oklahoma put out a $3 million bounty
Right.
for a
Bounty.
license.
When me and my team, I took a field trip down to the Everglades to do some research. Remember, Tim? We were going to go down this trail in the middle of the Everglades, middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's signs that say trail cams not allowed.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. And this
No.
is the Everglades National
Mhm.
Park. It's 1.5 million acres of swampy, land.
Yeah.
Why in this one spot are there signs posted everywhere that say no trail cameras allowed?
That's right. Yeah.
Why?
They don't
Why?
want to catch them on camera.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why?
There you go.
What has been seen out there that they don't want people to, I'm
Yeah.
sure they've picked
No.
up creatures on the cameras and they're like, yeah, no more. So
Mhm.
that was the weirdest thing that we saw down there, wasn't it, Tim?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hey,
We're like,
Marie,
what
look
the
at
heck?
what about the overnight hunting station that was set up over in my one area where we found the deer carcass next to where I thought the tree may have gone over?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden now there's a deer camp in there, like a hunting camp, like overnight almost. Like, what? And it was all brand new equipment, brand new high dollar everything, and it looked like it never been used.
Yeah.
Like overnight, it was
Yeah.
almost like it was like put up there. It was
Even in
weird.
certain areas of West Palm Beach, where another bunch of another group is doing research. They're burning off the acreage to
Mhm.
push them back deeper into the cypress head, to where you just can't drive. You can't just drive up and interact with them now. So I mean, and the boxes. There's metal boxes out there that are covered. Giant boxes. I'm like, well, ground detection, is that ground detection, or is it put out a magnetic field, or what is that doing? I mean, they know what's going on. They just don't want to admit it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
I think so.
Why is
The
there only
government-
10 tall fences in that one area, Marie, going down 75?
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
only place.
Yeah, this place
Right.
is like middle of nowhere and they have 12-foot tall fence. What are they keeping in there? That's
Over how big of an
Right.
area?
Yeah, how big is that spot, Mike? It's pretty big.
It's huge.
Yeah, pretty
It's
big. And they have this
It's
massive,
not real wide. It's real long.
right.
It's miles long, but it's
Where
only,
is it?
it's only a mile.
Pasco County.
Yeah,
Okay.
up around Pasco, and there's a couple different creeks that come through, and it's hard to. There's a couple different. I have like 5 different spots I go in all up and down around the creek, and that's where I've had most of my stuff is anywhere near a creek or like same thing like down by Hillsborough River,
Right.
because like Cypress Creek dumps into Lettuce Lake Park where they've had a lot of sightings.
Right.
Yeah, they know what's going on. They know exactly what's going on. And it's like I said to DA, if they ever came out and admitted to it, it would change massively numerous things. One, the logging industry.
Right.
That would be devastating. Two,
Right.
the way we look at things as far as religion, the caveman, You know, this thing is an ancestor of us and it branched off. You know,
it would change pretty much everything we know about evolution.
Exactly. You know, who's going to go into a park and go camping with their kids? You know, this thing's running around. I'm not going to do it. You know, I mean, Mike's not going to bring his daughter. Mike's not going to go, come on, let's go. Right.
Well,
you know,
see, I can honestly say I had those 2 bad encounters. Since then, I've had nothing but good. I've never had the bad ones ever again. And especially the areas I go into the most, like where I go by myself a lot, I've almost felt welcomed in there. It's weird. It's like I get peaceful and I feel calm when I'm back there especially by myself. It's like I feel like they've accepted me back there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, you're not the only, like Fred from Alaska. Like he said to us, they're all aggressive up here. These things are so aggressive, like he said, you don't have to go looking for them. They'll come right out at you on the tree line. You know, it's not like Florida, Oklahoma, where you know, Missouri, where DA's at. You know, these things are nothing but aggressive towards anything or everybody. Why is that? You know, why is that different up there than it is by us? You know, I mean, there's so many different, you know, questions we need answers to. You know, it's going to, like I said, we got to study it. It has to be studied, and that's the only way we're going to do it.
I think using the missing 411 cases as an example, I think if the government ever just came out and said, hey, these things exist and we've known about it for a long time, that would make them culpable in a lot of those disappearances.
I think, and after getting into this and what I've seen on my cameras and what I've seen when I've been back in areas, I'm convinced there's a lot more of these things than what people ever thought. And they're never alone.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
Yeah, I don't think they're alone either.
Well, if you look at a satellite map of the United States, there is still so much unbroken green on North America where there's plenty of place to hide. And people that don't think that there's enough wilderness left for these type of creatures to hide in, just look at Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. Between the Mark Twain National Forest, the Ozarks National Forest, and the Ouachita Mountains, there's a section that runs from northern Missouri to Texas that's pretty much unbroken green.
Right.
With riverways and waterways aplenty.
Even Florida. Florida has 17 million acres of forests. That's almost half our state. Is covered in forest, and people don't think that. They just think we're all one big beach, you know. But we do have plenty of places for Bigfoots and skunk apes to hide, to thrive. They have a year-round supply of food available to them. You know, they don't need to migrate. Maybe they do, but they don't really need to. And but 17 million acres of forests in Florida.
I'm not laughing at you, Marie. I'm looking at a comment that my uncle put up that I gotta laugh at. So I'm sorry. The comment that he put up.
There's plenty of territory for them to hide in, and you know, and it's not like we're talking about a known animal like the black bear. Black bear will wander around. It'll get into people's trash cans. Correct. This is an intelligent creature that doesn't want to be found.
You know, it's like the bodies. Where's the body? Where's the body? How come they don't die? You don't find the body. Well, how many bodies of bears do you find out in the wilderness?
Not many.
I've been out hunting. Right, Tim, you're out hunting in Florida all the time. So was I. I've never ran across a bear body. Never.
No bones either. No bare bones. No panthers.
These animals are that intelligent. They could easily be hiding or burying their dead.
Right. Yep. You know, I mean, hogs and deer bones. Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Bear, panther. We find carcasses all the time.
Right.
You know, but never that.
If it's that intelligent, it probably is burying its dead.
Yeah.
You know.
Probably is. Yeah.
I found my dog was sniffing at like pine straw that had been, and I moved the pine straw and there was like fecal material underneath it. So whatever it was had been covering up its poop. And she's done that a couple different spots where she starts smelling the ground, and I move it, and I find poop that was covered up. And usually she don't like getting near that poop that's been covered up. And she likes poop for some weird reason, but she don't like that poop.
They're dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You never know with dogs.
Dogs eat poop.
Yeah. They roll in it. They do everything with it. Trust me.
Exactly.
That's another story by itself. I can tell a hunting story about that one.
Poop
Yeah.
stories.
Trust me. Yeah, we're getting questions. Bigfoot Lurky. Okay. I don't know what she's referring to. The Tengu? What is she referring to, DA?
She's talking about a group of people, a tribe of people that existed near Mongolia and the steppes of Russia that Genghis Khan wiped out. Well, mostly wiped out.
Oh, I don't know what she was talking about. No, I don't know anything about that. No, sorry.
I'm not real familiar with it myself.
Me either. So, as far as that goes.
What
about eye shine with you guys? I'm sorry, DA.
When you start taking the clear hair shafts, their ability to hide almost in plain sight as long as they're absorbing the color around them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You talk about the fact that they possibly bury their dead. They're intelligent, and they're elusive. They don't want to be found. These all add up to a creature that if it doesn't want to be found, it's not going to be found.
Right.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
But we found some things out too. I mean, the more you're out there, the more you're figuring out too. And for us,
right,
those trees that are laying down on the ground, that's just boardwalks. They get on them and they can walk on them without making a sound.
Yeah,
and they're everywhere in their areas. And then you've got trees that are leaning all over the place. I mean, most of the time, those leaners go right up into a tree that's been stuffed with other branches and bushes and everything else that looks like a blind. Yeah. We find some really high intelligent things that we find,
Right.
Yeah. The tripwire was amazing that we found.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And we found
a tripwire.
It was a 40, and the placement of it too is amazing. Like 40-foot long vine that was pulled perfectly horizontal and level. And it went around one tree, around two more other trees, and then had another branch on it to make it go to its perfect balance. You know what I mean? The thing was like boing, boing, boing. It was so tight.
Like walking a trail. So if they're running a deer, the deer would hit it and trip.
It was deer height. Yeah, it was deer height.
It was about 2 feet tall. 2 feet.
Right at the end of the fence line.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
Was it attached to anything like a tripwire?
No, it went around like 3 different trees.
So it looked like a tripwire because it was the way it was stretched across the trees and wrapped around the trees, and it was tight.
Perfectly camoed.
I mean, you could hit it, and it was just perfectly tight. So it reminded us of a tripwire.
That's scary. That's pretty scary.
Well, if it was well camouflaged and across a game trail, it might have been to trip up prey.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we think.
That's what we thought it was.
It was right on the corner of a fence where I'm walking the perimeter of the fence. So something could have ran it. If something was standing on one entrance of that on one side of that fence and the other ones are running it, it's going to run right into that tripwire.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, it made it brilliant. It was kind of brilliant where it was at.
Right.
Yeah, especially when you're going that fast. You're not, a deer being chased. Right.
A deer are fast, but
for its life,
hit the ground.
But a deer's used to seeing those vines, and they might not even think anything of it,
Right.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's crazy, man. That is nuts.
I'll take a quick second and thank Lanita for her super sticker. That's awesome. Thank you, ma'am. Very much appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like you drop up a couple of claymores to this thing and, give them a couple of days. We'll figure out how to wire that up, too.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Well, some of the native accounts that I heard from southeastern Oklahoma talk about using tools beyond that, like finding spears that are too big to be comfortably used for a person. Spears with diameters of about that big around from a tree shaft.
Really?
A couple of cases I heard of flint knapping being found that were way larger than anything most native tribes used.
Yeah, There's so much.
And
There's so much stuff we don't know about.
Chimpanzees and gorillas are both tool users, just not to that extent. But,
Well, the Billy ape uses a club.
Billy apes are very dangerous.
To kill lions. It uses a club to kill a lion. They're called lion killers. That's what they're called. So, I mean, if that thing could figure it out, and it's a chimp, it's,
Correct.
Yeah.
So
They're better at hide and seek than we are.
Exactly.
Hide and seek world champions.
The world champions hide and seek, like the DA said, yeah. They're very good at that. Very, very good. What about eye shine where you guys are at? Any good eye shine or anything like that? Have you done?
One of our night investigations, we caught some really good eye shine. Yeah, and you can see it there for a little bit, and it goes away, and it comes back. It gets really bright. Yeah, pretty good eye shine on that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen any yet by me. There's sounds, stuff like that, but the eye shine, like DA said, his theory on it is because they're more nocturnal with they can pick up a lot more at night than we can, seeing almost like a
they have like a film. They have a film on their eyes that makes it reflects back what it is that's being shown at them.
Right.
Well,
tapetum lucidum, it's the scientific term for eye shine. It's basically just the rods and cones in their eyes gather more light than ours do in the darkness, and that's the light you're seeing reflected back because their eyes are gathering far more light than we're capable of in the nighttime.
Yeah. Mike, you said that your ears are still bothering you after you got hit with that infrasound?
Well, I've always had a little bit of an ear issue, but it from sinusitis type stuff. But
okay,
this was totally different. But it's like the pressure I get is when I'm out there and I'm close to them, I get that pressure again. It bothers me every time I'm close. I get that pressure. I
was gonna tell you my uncle just reminded me. It's called Meniere's disease. Where it affects your inner ear. I have it. My dad had it. You might even have it too. You got to be tested for it. So I'm
actually being tested. I'm actually being tested for some stuff right now. Actually, that has to deal with that.
Okay, good.
I appreciate that.
Good. No, good. He reminded me in the chat. He's like Meniere's. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. So yeah, I wanted to let you know.
Yeah, I actually almost blacked out driving down the interstate one day.
It'll do that to you.
And it was inner ear stuff. I had my windows rolled up, and when I went around a curve, the pressure inside the cab changed, and it almost blacked me out. That's
what it'll do to you, man.
But when we go on investigations, Mike will sit there and he'll be like, "Oh, they're around." I could tell.
Right.
Ear, he knows when they're around.
You got to be leaving with me. When I get out of bed too quick or get up out of the chair, it's like okay, I got to catch myself and stop for a second. So yeah, I know exactly what you're going through, man. Believe me.
Well, it's like I'm a goofball. I get joke around when I'm walking around and stuff, and then I go from goofball to dead serious because it's like it hits me like
that. Right.
Me,
Yeah.
That's like me. Same thing with me. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, man. I know exactly what you mean.
I want to take a quick second and thank Pat Murphy for her super chat. She says, if you like scary stories, go to Pine Box Tales on YouTube. Pine Box Tales is a really cool channel, and they don't just deal with cryptids. There's like a lot of ghost stories and things like that. Check out Pine Box Tales on YouTube. It's a great little channel. It's a fairly new channel. It's still growing, but they've got a lot of good content. So hope you guys will check that out as well.
What else? We got mediation buildings and everything.
Yeah, I want to say hello to everybody.
Yeah, Tim, give anybody a shout out you like.
People in chat I'm friends with. I know who they are. Yeah. So hello, everybody in chat.
And any group members, hello. Thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, I seen Ruby was watching earlier. She's in chat. Yeah.
Yeah, we had our own Bigfoot actually advertise the show today on Facebook. I don't know if you guys seen it.
The what? What was it?
Bigfoot. We had Bigfoot advertise the show today.
Sounded a lot suspiciously like Anthony.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see that? I'll send it to you on Messenger. It's hilarious.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
messing around with some stuff and actually did a Bigfoot face, and it actually talks and tells, I'll send it to you. It's pretty hilarious.
Oh, yes, I did
Pretty
see
good.
it. I didn't hear it. Though. I
That's-
saw it.
That's cool.
Yeah, you got to listen to it. Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
listen to
I
it.
was at work. I couldn't, but I will. I want to hear it.
Yeah, it came out pretty good. I sent it to DA, and he's like, "How did you do that?" And I'm like, "Oh, just found it on Snapchat, and I was messing with it, and happened to be there." So yeah, it came out
And
pretty
it's
good.
on your page. It's on your page. Anthony?
I actually sent it. Yeah, I actually sent it to DA's page and
Okay.
numerous pages that we belong to, and they accepted it. To advertise for the show, and I put it on there. So
I'll
I
have to
guess.
look at it. I want to
Yeah.
hear it. I do want to hear it.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's actually the Bigfoot's actually from Queens, New York. The Bigfoot, so he has that New York accent. Yeah,
Yo.
Bigfoot's a New Yorker.
yeah. So just not to throw you off, it doesn't have that country accent. It's got that New York accent. So
It's
Uh-huh.
okay.
Who knew Bigfoot was a
Oh,
Yankees
God.
fan?
Exactly.
All right. let's
That's the
go.
difference in them. They, up north and here. Down here, they have
Yeah.
a southern growl. And
Yeah, up there.
That's
why they're
nicer down here,
And
too.
every growl with y'all or hun.
Yeah, there's a lot of Italian Bigfoots up there. A lot of them. You'd be surprised.
That's why they're nicer down here. Everybody's nicer in the south.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Bigfoot Mafia up north. That's exactly what it is.
Facebook user says, "Would you say the Bigfoot from up north are aggressive because of food source compared to down here, where they have most of the time year round?" We talked about that. If I
Yeah.
understand your question correctly, we talked about that a little bit earlier. I think up north they require a much heavier protein, much higher protein count. And calorie count because colder climates require it. I think that explains why the northern ones seem to be more aggressive. At least that's my opinion on it.
No, I agree. The food content. Even Marie said it too. The food source. Deer. Even the deer are bigger up north than they are here.
Right.
So you're going to get that. You are going to get that.
Yeah, they have a lot of.
Who else?
We believe the wild hogs too. They follow the wild hogs around and feed on them.
Well, yeah. I mean, even look at the hogs, Tim. I mean, you compare a Florida hog to a hog in Texas or up north,
Yeah,
double the size.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
All right, we get some pretty good sized razorbacks in this area.
Right. So you're talking, a feral hog compared to a European Russian hog. That's like a Volkswagen against a Matchbox.
yeah, that's right.
They're massive. They're just big. And it's just, like you said, the food source in the area, and I believe what Marie says is true. It's going to be where they are in the state or in the country. Everything's bigger up north, like in Colorado, Alaska. Look at the size of the bear, the brown bear, coastal brown bear. What,
1,000
1,400? Right, 1,400 pound brown bear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that would deter me from going out hunting a lot. I'll tell you that. So,
Right.
and DA's wife is in the chat. DA, your wife's in the chat.
Yeah,
And
she hates the cold.
She
I
what?
was gonna. She hates the cold.
weather. That's why she wants to move to like Florida or South Carolina because
Florida.
kind of nasty.
Florida.
Come to Florida. You can get a nice piece of property out in the country cheap. Cheap.
You can live next
And
door to Anthony. You can
Right.
be in National
That's
Forest.
it.
She'd never
We
get
could
the
get
two of
you
us
a-
out of the swamp if we were to
No.
live next door to each other.
No, I'd build a nice little golf cart buggy just for us to get around then, because neither one of us we're not in any shape or form. Plus, I got my uncle inside, just as bad as both of us put together. So, Yeah.
Be out in a
I'd
swamp
have to
buggy
do
all
that.
the time.
Yeah, see,
Exactly.
you come down to the Green Swamp and investigate with us. You know, it'd be
Yeah.
great.
I would love to get a group of guys from up north and have them come meet up with us and go into our woods and see the difference.
I would love
Oh,
to.
yeah.
I spent
It's
so much
so,
time in the Missouri
and you
woods.
see
in the
just
area
how
of the Ozarks.
miserable it can be in our swamps.
Absolutely.
Take them in the sun. Hey, Mike, take them in the summertime.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
July.
right. Yeah.
July
Yeah,
or
'cause
Watch out.
August, definitely.
Yeah, watch how fast they'd be like, oh, you guys are nuts.
Right.
90%
Because-
humidity back there, mosquitoes,
yeah.
deer
Oh, yeah.
flies.
Mosquitoes the size of small birds.
Mm-hmm.
Tell her
We
no.
refer to
There's
them around
no
here in the summertime. We call them mosquitodactyls.
right. No,
If you
there's
watch
no.
real close,
There's
you
no
can see the aircraft
pythons.
registration number on their tail.
Mhm.
There's no
was like the
pythons in
first-
Ocala. Tell her there's no pythons up in Ocala, and there's very few alligators.
Not
Not
yet.
like in South Florida, right?
Right.
Don't tell her that. She won't move here then.
Yeah, there's not
Not yet. Yeah, she'll be like,
not
we're
many
not going to
gators in
Florida.
Ocala for sure.
There's not a lot of things
Yeah.
in this world that scare me, but snakes are right up there. I
Yeah.
believe there's two kinds of snakes in this world: the kind of snake that'll kill you, and the kind of snake that'll make you kill yourself trying to get away from it.
When we
He wouldn't
go
like my
out, I
house.
don't know about you, but down here, because you're dealing with the swamps, we
See,
wear
and I
snake
believe that.
boots, knee-high
I believe
snake
that.
boots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
And Tim
are,
will tell you the same thing. I mean, Tim's a hunter. I mean, I've been chest deep, waist deep in the swamp running after dogs because of them tracking hogs, and I've never had a bad encounter with an alligator.
No, I haven't.
Never.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
even during mating season, and everybody's like, "Oh, gators, they'll attack you." And listen, man, and Tim will tell you the same thing. I've been out there hunting, running dogs in the swamp after pigs. Alligator will go the other way. It won't even mess with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so-
swam the Withlacoochee River catching a hog.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've had him within 5 feet of me.
You know where Steenahatchee is?
Yeah.
Steenahatchee?
Yeah.
That's where my dad ran hogs. He ran hogs in Steenahatchee for years, back early 80s and
Yeah.
late 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I mean, I used to run the hell out of them in Palm Beach, and then we'd go all over the state of Florida. We went to Tassahatchee, the biggest hog I ever caught with cutters. I took out of Tassahatchee.
Yeah.
On a special quota hunt, and same thing. I was up to my waist in water, chasing dogs to a cypress head. Alligators all over the place. I mean, tons of them. Just went right through them, and they didn't even bother you. And people get a misconception about that. Oh, alligators will do that. Don't get me wrong. There are some aggressive alligators.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying people to go up to them and pet
They're the
them.
ones they feed.
Right. But yeah. And we do have crocodiles in Florida.
Yeah. They're all
People
South
don't-
Florida.
Right. People don't realize that. There are saltwater crocs in the Keys.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually now they're in St. Petersburg. They found them. So
I read an article recently that one of the newest invasive species they're finding in Florida are Nile crocodiles that people have.
That's
released.
scary.
yeah.
Those are very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things are confirmed man eaters from way back.
Yeah, they are.
Well,
Yeah.
They had in Palm Beach. Remember Hurricane Andrew guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when I hunted in Palm Beach, about 2 years after the hurricane, people were reporting seeing ocelots. Now, I didn't know what an ocelot was back then. They said it was people were like, oh, we got leopards. There's leopards. There's leopards in Palm Beach. I'm like, leopards? What are you talking about? Well, I seen one on a road coming in with the swamp buggy.
Uh-huh.
And it's bigger than a domestic cat, but it's almost, it's not as big as a leopard, and it's not as small as a domestic cat. It's in between, and it has spots on it. And they call them ocelots, and they're from, I believe, Brazil, the rainforest of Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of them got loose out of, I want to say, Lion Country Safari, or
Okay.
and they just adapted to being out in the swamp, and now you don't hear about it, but they're out there. Now there's a population of these things running through the Palm Beach swamps.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's like I said, that anything could adapt to this environment here. You know, just like a mountain lion. A mountain lion is the same thing as a Florida cougar, Florida panther.
Yeah.
It's the same cat. One just adapted to the climate, the cold, and this one adapted to the heat and swamp. You know, it's like you know, we all talked about these things. Like I said, the only way we're going to get answers is like we have to study it. A body, I hate to say it, people, but I'm just saying autopsy, you know, to figure out what they do and how they do things. That's the only way we're going to figure this out.
I'm okay with the iguanas and everything else that have been released in Florida, but when somebody starts releasing Komodo dragons, I think people are going to.
Oh yeah, the Nile. What is that? The Nile monitor. Now that they're finding in South Florida, Nile monitor.
It's about as close to a Komodo dragon as you can get.
These things are very aggressive.
And the tegus.
Yeah, the tegus now they're all over the place in South Florida.
Maybe it's like python.
Nothing is going to eat that thing out there. I mean, they're even killing alligators, man. I mean, they found that one gator in its stomach. Hell, they found one it was a video in where was it? A Holiday Holiday Park, the Everglades Park down in South Florida. They found that one. They found I think it was a 10-foot gator inside of one of them, and they split it open. It was a 10-foot gator dead.
Dang.
When they caught this thing. It was a not a python. Was it a python? Yeah, it was I'm trying to think.
Python.
What's the biggest species of the python besides an anaconda?
Reticulated.
That's it. I think that's what it was. It was close to an anaconda, the size.
Yeah, reticulated.
Yeah, and this thing ate a 10-foot alligator?
Jeez.
Wow.
That's
like,
huge.
Come on. Yeah. So how many people have gone missing out there? There you go.
Well, with Florida being such a great habitat for pretty much any kind of wildlife, I think you guys are in the perfect area for doing Bigfoot research, especially since you're able to differentiate cleanly between what you call a Bigfoot and the skunk ape. You know, some of the stuff you guys are finding down there is really impressive, and I can't wait to see what you guys find. You know, because like you said, you guys go out every weekend.
Right.
We're past the 2-hour mark, which is where we usually start winding down. Would you guys tell everybody where we can find you guys again? All your media, all your YouTube channels, and
so you can find my group. It's Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group on Facebook and YouTube, and we also have a research team website, and it's called midfloridabigfoot.com. So if you go there, you can see pictures of the crazy stuff that we've found out there. You can read some Florida facts, read about the team members. So it's a pretty good website, very informative. And we also put blogs out there with helpful articles about Florida.
That's awesome that you're putting out, helpful stuff. What is the best advice you guys would give to somebody that's just starting out, looking into the Bigfoot and skunk ape phenomenon in your area?
To get out there.
Go out in the woods.
Look for the little details. Yeah.
They're a lot closer than you think.
Tree structures and look for footprints.
Yeah. You definitely have to get out there. And, I started out. I mean, I was going out by myself.
If you guys need a decoy, we have somebody that you can use for decoy if you need one. Yeah. Now he wears a blonde wig, and all you have to do is tie him to a tree. And you have somebody. He actually lives here with me. It's my uncle, so he's up there.
Going to come in and club you with a golf club in a minute. There.
Yeah, no.
I am.
You can hear him yelling at me now.
What we also do in our group is every so many months we have a group member outing where we invite anybody in our group to come out and join us at a certain location. Like we just last 2 weeks ago, we had a group outing at Colt Creek State Park, and it gives people the opportunity to go out with somebody and see what it is, the kind of stuff that we're looking at. Some people are, have no idea where to go. They don't want to go out alone. So this gives them the opportunity, and that's why we do it. We're trying to help them.
Do you guys get any activity in the camp? In the camp when you have these gatherings? Do they come into the camp or no?
The what?
When you guys take, like you said, the gatherings that you have for groups, have you gotten any activity inside the camps?
Oh, well, we're just doing daytime. We're just doing the morning investigation for like 3 hours. We haven't done an overnight one. We will when it cools off. We will have a nighttime camp out group member thing. But we do offer that for our members,
That's awesome.
That'll be cool.
Folks, remember, anybody that claims they're an expert in this field is probably blowing smoke. There are no experts in this field. We're all still learning. All we have is theory. Everybody that's listening to us tonight, the theories that you guys have are just as valid as any of ours. We are all trying to learn more about this subject.
We're all learning.
And you can only learn so much from sitting behind a keyboard. Eventually, if you want to dig more into this subject, you're going to have to get into the woods somewhere. You may or may not find anything. Depends on what your area is, what level of activities in your area. But like Mike was saying just a few minutes ago, they can be a lot closer than you expect. If you're going to go out, no matter where you go, no matter what kind of terrain, be prepared. Take something to defend yourself, even if it's just bear spray, because there are things out there that can and will hurt you, and they're not not necessarily cryptid related. Come home safe. If you're going to go out into the woods, if you're going to go out someplace like this, tell somebody where you're going and tell them when you're supposed to be back. Not every place you're going to go to is going to have cell coverage.
Correct.
And in Florida, very seriously, you could have a heat stroke and die.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
It gets hot enough and humid enough in Missouri. It happens every year. People die of heat stroke here in Missouri. It's a legit thing. Take fluids. Make sure you've got water. Make sure you know where you're going. Sometimes your cell phone's not going to work. And for one thing I stress more than anything, and it's something I did when I was a cop, it's something I do now. If you're going to be someplace where you are away from basic emergency services, take a medical kit. Even if it's something, we want something that's beyond ibuprofen and Band-Aids, because that's probably not going to save your life. Take a tourniquet. Take something that's got a pressure bandage, an Israeli pressure bandage, or something like that. Even relatively minor woods when you're deep off trail can be fatal, because it's very difficult for you to get back, especially if you're bleeding heavily. And there are animals that will come after you if you're bleeding. Well, definitely remember that one of the sponsors of our show is Carrie Pocket Talk Davis and the good people over at Dark Angel Medical. I carried their kits throughout my time as a cop, and I tell you, there's no better kit in the business. I've trusted my life with the Dark Angel kits forever. And for viewers of this show, if you go to darkangelmedical.com and use the count Cryptid25, you'll get 25% off your entire order. And for those of you that are fans of my book series, if you put Codename Wild Hunt or Team Odin in the comments of your order, they will add that Team Odin rocker to the panel on your kit. So get a kit, be prepared. Make sure you hydrate. Take your basic survival necessities. Take something to defend yourself, and let somebody know where you're going and when you're supposed to be back. These are just the minimum things you need to do to protect yourself and be prepared for when you're actually off trail. Be safe, come home safe, and remember that we're all in this together. We're all learning in this process. Some people may have a little head start on you in the research, but that doesn't mean that they're that much farther ahead. It's still a mystery. And reach out to, I'm sure you can reach out to Marie and her team just as much as you can reach out to me and Anthony. If you've got questions, we are here to answer those. And you can contact them through their Facebook page or even the website.
Absolutely.
We are willing to share what we know.
We're here to help.
And I don't claim to know everything, but I'm happy to share what I do know.
Yeah, I mean, like I sent Marie a message, and she just right away, hey, what's going on? So yeah, they're nice, man. Very nice people, Marie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you face to face. Finally, I'm sure I'll meet you guys in Ocala
In
when you come
Ocala.
down.
Yeah.
Tim, pleasure meeting you, and Mike,
Thank you. Yeah,
pleasure
thanks,
meeting you too, man.
Pleasure.
I'm
Good to have
looking
some.
forward to meeting you guys when you come down here to Ocala. Really,
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
am.
You gotta do that documentary.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to get everybody together, together and do this.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I appreciate
we're
you
up
guys
for
taking
that.
the time to come on, and you guys are welcome back anytime. We'd love to have you guys back on to talk more about your research. I know you guys said you go out every weekend, so anytime you've got something you want to come on and talk about, we are happy to have you.
Perfect.
And I hope you guys stay safe, be careful, and I know I'm plugging it for the show, but the guy that owns Dark Angel Medical is a dear friend of mine. Check out Dark Angel Medical; they are fantastic kits, and use that Cryptid 25.
Yeah, it's a family-ran business. Awesome guy,
Combat medic.
Yes, really good, really down-to-earth guy. Him and his wife are great people. Yeah, look him up.
I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys so much for taking time to be with us. Hope you guys stay safe. I hope you guys continue to find and document all the great stuff that you guys have been finding. We're really glad you guys joined us, and thank you guys to everybody that's been with us tonight in the audience. We've said it many times. We will continue to say it. We don't have fans. We have friends. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us, and we will see you guys on Saturday night when we have Jesus Payan from Breaking Bad, who runs a channel called Breaking Bigfoot. And we're going to have a great time with that one as well. So thank you guys for being here. See you guys on Saturday night, and be safe, everybody. Good night,
Thanks
everybody.
a lot.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, Anthony.
Pleasure,
Thank you for joining
really
us.
pleasure.
Catch us again
Awesome.
Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.